Just giving it a second to load on my end. Okay.
Yep, I see it. Patricia.
Great. Perfect, thanks. I just need to pause it on my end. Just skip. Okay. I'll bring everybody in. So Connor and Kaylin, can you keep an eye on the waiting room as we begin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. A quick welcome to all that are joining us today. We have a Menti poll that's up. If you have the opportunity to respond to the Menti poll, either within the app that we have there, menti.com, and enter the 8-digit code number, or you can take the opportunity to respond in the chat if Menti isn't something that you're able to access. And Kaylin, can you put the Menti prompt in the chat? Welcome to all of our schools joining us today. We really appreciate you being here. I'm going to give it a few minutes to see if the Menti is something that is going to work with the group. And then from there we will get started with our welcome speaker in maybe just about a minute. Thank you, Kaylin. Why don't we go ahead and get started with our welcome speaker, Darwin Lara.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Yes?
Yep, we hear you well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, great. So again, good morning, everyone. I'm Darwin Lara. I'm the founder and CEO of EvoCorp, an IT solution firm located in Bridgeport. My passion for technology and entrepreneurship while studying computer programming, I was able to work with a computer system supplier serving a growing demands of overseas markets. This early experience laid the foundation for my expertise in business strategy, sales, and IT. Today, I'm delighted to welcome you to our Tech Career Expo. We embark on a journey to explore the dynamic world of technology, a field that not only shapes our present, but also paves the way for our future. Technology is the backbone of modern society. It influences every aspect of our lives, from how we communicate to how we work, learn, and play. In Connecticut, particularly in the Southwest region, technology plays a pivotal role in driving economic success, growth, and innovation. The concentration of tech jobs underscores the significance of our region as a hub for technological advancements. Moreover, these positions are not confined to traditional tech companies. They span various industries, including finance, manufacturing, and education. In fact, almost 70% of tech-related job postings in Connecticut come from companies not strictly defined as tech industries. You are a catalyst for tomorrow's innovation. The tech industry thrives on fresh perspective, creativity, and the willingness to challenge the status quo. As digital native, you're growing up with technology at your fingertips, making you uniquely positioned to drive the next wave of technological breakthroughs. The demand for diverse perspective in tech is increasing. Employers recognize that that a variety of viewpoints leads to more innovative solutions and products that cater to a broader audience. Your unique experiences, backgrounds are invaluable assets that can shape the future of technology. To illustrate the impact young professionals have, consider this. In Connecticut, there are currently 6,900 total level tech job postings, with 1,500 in Southwest Connecticut alone. These positions offer an average salary of $95,000. Notably, 25 of these job postings require less than 1 year of experience, making them accessible to recent graduates and young professionals. As we delve deeper into today's expo, I encourage you to engage with our panelists, ask questions, and envision your place in the tech landscape. We are looking forward to hearing from you too today. As you saw, we are using Mentimeter for polls. When your screen comes up, you will go to menti.com, enter the code to answer. If that's not working for you, you could also enter the information in the chat. In tech and information technology, the opportunities are vast, and the industry is eager to welcome fresh talent. Remember, the future of technology is not just about coding or engineering. It's about creativity, problem solving, and the desire to make the difference. We also have some great digital takeaways from Microsoft that will be available at the end. Thank you for being here today. Let us embark on this exciting journey together.
Thank you so much, Darwin. We did pull up another Menti. If you have a chance to respond, we'd love to get your perspectives on what you think the biggest myth is about working in tech as we prepare for our panelist discussion. You can see there menti.com and the code 64260089. We'll leave it up for a little bit. See that math is one of the components that people think only people who code can work in tech. All right, so I am going to stop sharing and let Kaylin spotlight our panel facilitator and our panelists.
Good morning, everyone. Interesting so far, and I'm sure we're going to receive hopefully a bit more responses for the Menti poll, but I think through our discussion today, you'll see that that myth is exactly what it is, a myth, that you do not only need to code to be in the tech field. It's probably just one component. So you're going to hear from our experts very soon. Again, good morning. My name is Karen Amaker, and I'm the Director of Workforce Development and Career Readiness for the Connecticut State Department of Education. I've been an educator for over 25 years and most recently served as the founding principal of P-Tech Norwalk in Norwalk, Connecticut. Very, very excited about that experience. But more importantly, today we have 5 panelists from various sectors in the tech industry, and you'll learn a lot about what they do, how they got there, and some really good advice for you as you consider the tech field as a potential career option. They are the experts, okay? But I also want to remind you that throughout the conversation that we'll be having, you do have access to the chat, and please make sure to include your questions there. And then we'll also have another Menti poll. We want this to be as interactive and as informative as possible. So please do not hesitate to include your questions in the chat. So without further ado, I'd like to provide an opportunity for our panelists before we launch into our discussion for our panelists to introduce themselves. And I'll start with Johnny Barber from Charles IT.
Hey guys, this is Johnny. I'm currently a desktop support specialist over at Charles IT. I'm kind of on the path towards like security. That's the goal. Yeah, and I started out actually working with my father as like a mechanic, but went to school for computer science and then transferred over to here. So yeah, it's been a pretty cool journey and looking forward to talking about it further.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Johnny. Harshita Ryman, Data Analytics.
Hi everyone. So happy to be here. I just want to start with that. My name is Harshita and I lead data analytics at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. And yeah, happy to share my experiences and learning with all of you. I do have a degree in computer science and also a master's degree in business analytics. We'll share more how I get here, but yeah, that's me. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Harshita. Gabriel Ortiz, software engineering from Synchrony.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Gabriel Ortiz. I'm currently a API software engineer at Synchrony Financial, working under the Generative AI organization. I currently only hold a degree in digital media and design, so it'll be an interesting discussion on saying how I got here. But was working on my continued education in computer science. So yeah, excited to share my experience today with all of you.
Thank you, Gabriel. And Kamani Harrison, our tech entrepreneur from the Key Bookstore.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kamani Harrison. I'm originally from Southern California. I came here to Connecticut and to my dream school, UConn, to pursue environmental engineering. And as far as my career goes, I ended up switching more so into entrepreneurship and leveraging my engineering degree to problem solve the bridge between literature and technology.
Very great. Thank you, Kamani. And last but certainly not least, Brian Niederhauser, network engineer from Charles IT.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Happy to be here. Thanks for coming. I am actually on track to be a network engineer. I work with Johnny, who we both do desktop support here at Charles IT. I actually don't have a degree in anything related to IT. I originally went for sound recording, and I run a recording studio on the side, but I wanted to get away from the kind of restaurant industry, which I was involved in for over a decade. And I loved computers. I was already working on them all the time with my recording studio. So I decided to get a couple certifications, and I was able to land a role here at Charles IT, and be happy to talk more about that as we move forward here. So
fantastic. Thank you all for sharing your introductions, and we're going to launch right into our questions, because this is really exciting just to hear a little bit about your backgrounds thus far. And I think you've already dispelled some of the myths. So we're happy to hear about that, knowing that there's not necessarily a linear path to getting to where you ultimately end up. So this question is for Brian and Harshita. What does a typical day look like for you? If you can expound on typical, but tell us a little bit about your day. Brian?
Yeah, sure. Happy to start. So in desktop support at Charles IT, we are a MSP, which means we manage a ton of different companies' IT needs. We have over 100 to 200 companies right now that we service. So the spread of issues that can come in that we have to support could be all over the spectrum. Typical day for me starts off coming in and reviewing a board that we have where different users from all these different companies will send in support requests. It might be a password reset. It might be a down server. It could be anything you can really think of. And we basically start off our day by going through a lot of these requests, either taking them on ourselves or triaging them to the right person. And aside from that, we have support requests that I may be working on for a couple days up to a couple weeks. So I will check my own personal board, which will have support requests from different users that I may have to follow up on, or there may be a new task that we need to update with them or work with them on. And then lately, a lot of the typical workflow for me, at least, has been, because it's kind of a ever-evolving job role here as I move towards a network engineer role. I've been helping set up a lot of new users and workstations for these companies that we manage. We get support requests in from contacts at the company, and it will be to set up a new user who's just been hired and to set up their computer for them. So it's been really cool to see how to set these things up. I personally come from a heavy Apple background, using a lot of MacBook Pros over the years, and Windows kind of phased out of my life for a little bit. And when I came back into the program here, it was a lot at once to learn how to use a Windows machine again, but the workflow at Charles IT allowed me to quickly kind of pick things up and learn about the Windows environment. So it's been really cool to set up a lot of these different laptops and computers and set up new users in Microsoft's portal where all these things are managed. So,
Great. Thank you.
yeah,
And
of course.
Harshita, same question. What's your typical day look like?
Yeah, well, my job revolves around data. I'm surrounded by data every day. And since I work for a health insurance company, we have data for all of our members who are, going to a doctor, getting surgeries, getting medication. And I work with all the business partners in our company who are looking to understand what does that data mean or how that data brings value to their business. So like one example is how many patients went to an emergency room or emergency care each month, right? Because we want to understand how can we solve their problems instead of them going to emergency rooms. Can we reduce their healthcare cost and provide something that's more convenient to the patients? So I'm trying to answer those type of complicated questions every day. So my job is to run SQL query, slice and dice data in any fashion possible and simplify that data into business terms and share those findings with our business partners so that they can take the right measures, the right steps to work with our patients, our members to improve their lives.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Talking about slicing and dicing, Brian mentioned leaving the restaurant industry and entering into the tech field. Talk to us a little bit about what your trajectory was like. How did you get to where you are?
Yeah, so I actually spent about 10 years at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse on the Berlin Turnpike in Connecticut, and it was a great job. I loved it there. I loved the people I worked with. But after a while, I decided I wanted something a little more grounded, I think. The money can be great in a restaurant if you're working hard and the restaurant has, high average checks and everything. But, it doesn't necessarily always come with the nice benefits and the perks of the office and the different kind of, workflow that you would have at a 9 to 5 essentially. So I did a little research online and I found the, CompTIA A+ certification was a good entry point for the IT world. I spoke to some people within my network that also work in IT and they recommended getting that certification. So on my own, when I wasn't working or doing the recording studio stuff, I was just slowly chipping away at the curriculum for CompTIA A+. And then it was all self-study and they have great resources online that will teach you the curriculum and then you go and sign up for the certification through CompTIA itself. And I passed those two and then I was applying for a job and I got in here at Charles IT in our trainee program actually. And I was able to leave the restaurant and I made the transition over to the 9 to 5. It's been great. I love it. Enjoyed my years at the restaurant. I learned a ton about food and cooking and customer service really was the biggest thing. I feel that's been a huge like transfer of skills from there over to here. So it's been, I do not regret it at all. It's been a great transition. Yeah. And, I miss the people I worked with and, the family meals at times, but it's great to be on the other side now. So
good for you. Harshita, same question.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a very interesting story. So I come from India, and a lot of you might know, like India, our focus is a lot on technology. A lot of people are engineers or doctors. I guess I had that influence in my life. When I was in high school, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an astronomer one day. I wanted to be, a pilot one day. So, I took some classes. I took a course on C++ just to try it out and see where does that get me, if I like coding or not. And I took a class and I built this hotel management system, like you check in customers coming into a hotel. every day. And, I built that program and it was amazing, and I was like, hey, I built something, right? So that excited me. And that's how I decided to get my bachelor's degree in computer science engineering. And yeah, after that, it's all history. After I completed my course, I knew I did like coding, but I was looking for something more interesting, something more challenging where I can really problem solve. So I took a course on cybersecurity. So that was like my first job in the industry. So I was a cybersecurity analyst. I took a ethical hacking course, and I found out that, hey, you can get paid to hack a system, right? So that was the most exciting part. And when I started my first job in a consulting firm, I got exposed to data and how data can be used to actually identify different like cybersecurity attacks and help organizations, to save from international attacks, threat scenarios. So I, studied on my own, did my own certifications. I would go on YouTube or, read some online resources available for free to learn more about data science. And that's how I became a data analyst or a data scientist. And then I did that for a few years, and I decided to moved to United States, get my degree in business analytics, where I learned more about like data science, and that's what I've been doing for many, many years.
Thank you. Thank you. What I'm hearing is the exploratory nature of this, that it wasn't necessarily the first thought or first career that either of you thought of, but that you landed there and through your own hard work, determination, and then just being curious. So I love the story. So great. Thank you very much for sharing, both of you. Let's hear from some of our other panelists about essential skills. What are the top skills that students should develop now? And what advice would you give to a student entering the tech field? And why don't we start with Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely. The direction I kind of wanted to go with this was kind of those intangible skills. I feel like the tech industry is like so broad and like the avenues that you can explore. I originally started out as like a software developer in school. That's what I wanted to go for. I kind of transitioned over to like cybersecurity. Now it's like IT related. And there's just so many different specific technical skills that you could get into. And the thing I noticed is those like intangibles, like being like detail oriented, super organizational, like being able to talk to people very well are those skills that transfer across all different jobs. And I'd say that's like the biggest factor that I would say help you get into the world. Of course, I would say the technical skills is super important. Of course, learning on the side and continuing and pursuing projects and education is super, super valuable, and it definitely shows. People can tell when you're working, whether it's just like LinkedIn, stuff like that, updating your resume, projects. You have those things, but those intangible skills, like being able to talk to people very well, networking is super, super important. And especially over at Charles IT, a lot of our day to day is talking to clients and customers all day. And so being sociable and being able to talk very well is a skill that I would value more than a lot of these technical skills, because they are very niche, and it's like something that is teachable, that someone out there will be able to teach you. And those intangibles are like, very valuable. So that's kind of where I would put my head at.
Thank you, Johnny. Kamani, what do you think?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I lost the connection.
That's okay. Top skills. We're talking about essential skills. What are the top skills students should develop now? And what advice would you give to students who are considering entering the tech field?
Ooh. First and foremost, I would say curiosity. Explore some different areas in your life that may need and require a application of technology that hasn't been seen before, especially for you guys, because you have the tools to build anything that you want. And even though there's a tech industry where there's cybersecurity, software engineering, blah, 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 there's so many industries that haven't fully access the power of technology these days. So I would say that definitely networking and talking to people. I was kind of thrown into the water with wanting to get more out of my academics and education. So I started taking community college classes in high school. And in order to do that, my parents weren't going to help me sign up for anything. So I was this little high schooler walking around a college campus trying to figure out how to take classes, how to enroll in those kinds of things. So definitely that, definitely networking and oh, yeah, and learning how to search throughout the internet. So learning how to um, use Google to your benefit. Learn how to use Chat GPT and AI resources. Learn how to talk to them. Prompt engineering and those kinds of things. I'll keep it there for now. Yeah.
Thank you. Gabriel, essential skills, any advice for our students?
I'm more inclined to sort of agree with Johnny's sort of like and Kamani's perspective. A lot of these technical skills can be learned. I think first and foremost, you should come to this with sort of a developing just skills and problem solving in general, just not necessarily sticking to any tech stack. Just dive into problems that are interesting to you and learn how to solve those things, and you'll develop kind of those like capabilities to pick up something and learn it along the way. I also think again, curiosity is definitely an essential to have. Continuous learning, being able to learn, continually learn on the job, because every day you'll be learning something new. You'll have to learn something. Something will come up in your in a tech stack that you haven't seen before, or maybe you might be switching tech stacks in your organization. That happens frequently in the industry, and there's a lot of disruption that happens in this industry. And so being able to continuously learn is on your own time. And I think it speaks to kind of like a lot of what others have said here is just have the drive to learn on your own, because you'll be doing it every day. That's I think probably the biggest thing I can emphasize and encourage for anybody who wants to enter this industry. And yeah, I think communication is incredibly important. A lot of people have the misconception that you'll, working in tech, you can kind of, silo yourself off from the rest of the world and just stick to your own kind of a lane and problem. But that's not always the case. You'll be pulled into different things. You'll encounter different scenarios where you'll need to call up on somebody else's kind of expertise. And that's okay. It's you don't always have to rely on your own expertise. And I would encourage you to kind of develop the skills to be able to reach out to other people and be able to not just talk on, like I say, a problem that you're having, but also the way you approach a problem, as well as communicate with somebody. It doesn't always have to be on task. You can always, deviate a little bit from the problem set for a little bit, just to get to know somebody else a little bit better, so you both can have that sort of trust between one another to do your job better. So definitely, I think. And I could just be biased because I come from more of a humanities background, but I think those are the characteristics that I think will make a person stronger in this industry, like moving forward with the changes that we're seeing today.
Great, thank you so much. Harshita, essential skills.
No. I just want to, double back on what everybody just said here, like building that transferable skill set is so important in any industry you work. And, it helps you to move internally within the company, or if you want to switch to another company, all these transferable skill set are crucial. And just want to add to that, building that foundational technical skill set helps you to get there, to build that foundation. And especially like in my field, if you have, basic skills in SQL language, Python, or with like some visualization tools, those skills will get you to where you want, like to your dream job. But after that, you're on your own, having that curiosity mindset, presentation skills, communication skills will take you wherever you want to be.
Thank you. And Brian, any final words on this topic?
I mean, everyone's kind of hitting the nail on the head, especially with like the networking and just Johnny mentioned being sociable and everything. Like I mentioned at the restaurant, learning those customer service skills were like paramount in my kind of landing this position because Johnny and I may be on phones all day talking to clients and users. And I mean, anyone who's called in customer service knows how much better it is when you're talking to someone who actually, knows how to talk to someone. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think it's really interesting and also affirming that you you spoke to exactly what I think of as an educator and understanding the importance of foundational skills, no matter what field you're going into. But your things that you mentioned and kept coming up, recurring themes, curiosity, exploration, and communication, big one. And this is what your teachers are teaching you every day, how to become a better communicator through your writing and orally. Networking came up a lot. One thing that I'm working on through my work with the Connecticut State Department is expansion of dual enrollment opportunities. If you have an opportunity, make sure you take that to get a jump start on your career and just explore college courses while you're in high school. Fantastic opportunity. AI, a big one. Navigating AI resources, understanding how quickly those things will change. And so staying current with the technology is really important. Problem solving, continuous learning, transferable skill sets, and again, networking. So thank you very much. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm going to pause for a moment just because I want to see what's happening in the chat and see if there are any questions from our student participants.
Karen, currently no questions in the chat. A lot of affirming of the points that were brought up as well by our panelists.
Okay.
If there is an opportunity for folks that have come into the Career Expo to learn more about tech careers that either want to come off mute to ask questions or ask questions in the chat, please do. And I'll also check in with Connor, who is monitoring our YouTube stream to see if there's any questions coming in from there.
I think I just saw a question.
Yes, from Gwendolyn. Can any of the panelists share if they were ever involved in any STEM Saturday or after school programs like robotics or STEM clubs that help make their decisions and if they think it's important? Thanks, Gwen.
I can answer this.
Go for it, Kamani.
Well, in high school, I did a virtual business class competition thing. That was super helpful. We did some competitions and things like that. That's where I kind of began to learn marketing because I was in charge of marketing on the team. And I think that's one of my favorite things about tech too, is it's really team building, a team building career. You have to be able to talk to people and work with people. I think I know Gwendolyn from NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. I think that I was the president.
Yes, you do. I'm sorry, I have my camera off. Yes. How
perfect.
are you?
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Man, you've
Just
been
wanted to.
doing this for so long, and those kids need you because their opportunity to go to national conventions.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Talk about that a little bit.
A little bit. I'm telling you right now, being from Southern California, where I was from, I never even heard of a Black engineer or knew that there were such organizations, especially at such a large scale. Had no idea. Seek out organizations that represent your interests. And then they had these opportunities for conventions. When I went to UConn, everybody was like, "You have to go to a convention." And I thought it would be the most boring thing in the world to go to an engineering convention. Like, when are we going to do homework all day? And it's so much networking and career exploration, and you get to hear from panelists like us talking about their 20-30 year careers and working at IBM and all type of different things. So Yeah, those types of like extracurriculars are especially essential in college because you will need a support system to get through college with tech, engineering, any sort of thing.
Kamani, that's a great answer. And it also transitions us a nice segue into my next question, which is on education and training. Do you need a college degree or are there alternative paths to careers in tech? Kamani, you want to take that first and
Can
then
I?
we'll
Okay.
Johnny? Yes, and then we'll talk to
Thanks.
Johnny.
Okay. So first, I want to say now is an amazing opportunity to take online classes for literally everything. Even Harvard has free classes for you to take. A lot of these Ivy Leagues are putting content and information online for free at that. But one thing that's critical that a college campus has is that opportunity to build your network and learn how to navigate that whole system. So um, you, a lot of this stuff is like branding, being a part of the UConn brand or the Harvard brand or wherever you decide to go to college is can have its benefits. But there's so much additional education to get online and things like that as well. So college honestly is more beneficial for your network than your education. I'd say that especially these days.
Johnny?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to touch on this. For alternative paths, I think a great example was I work with Brian right next to me, my friend and colleague, and he's absolutely crushing it over there without a degree. So that's a perfect example of an alternative path that is working out very well. You don't need a college degree to get into the field by any means. There are so many resources out there that are available to learn from. My background, I was actually kind of bouncing between my father's business, which was an automotive shop, and whether or not I wanted to pursue technology. And I was working there for a while, even like a year after school, pretty much, where I was like, okay, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And ultimately, I was like, I enjoy tech. That's my passion. That's what I want to get into. And that's when I started going down that self-study path of getting some certifications. I got my A+ certification from CompTIA as well as my Net Plus, and then landed a job here at Charles IT. But you can absolutely get into the field without specifically going to college. But like Kamani was saying, networking is super, super valuable, and college does have those skills that can help. And I'd say the biggest thing is actually the different classes and courses kind of can help you decide which route you want to go. Because I was originally doing software development, I did enjoy it. However, I knew I was like, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? Let me take a couple of these other classes, see how they are. So there are benefits to different learning paths. And I think college was one of the ways that kind of helped me steer, okay, this is what I actually want to do. But you can also do that self-learning. There's all sorts of resources like Udemy. There's tons of different courses, whether you want to do programming, cybersecurity, whether it's a certification path. There's stuff like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, stuff like that if you're interested in cybersecurity. And all of those a lot of times are free or very low cost. And those are kind of tools that you can, dive into to see if you do actually enjoy a certain thing. So yeah, there are definitely alternative paths, and there's pros and cons to each of them. And it's just as long as you're diligent and creating a learning path for yourself and goals, you're going to be totally fine and figure out what you want to do and get into the industry. 100%.
Fantastic. Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself. I think the resounding piece of advice is the networking piece, but also just knowing who you are, knowing yourself, and just being open to various opportunities. Many industries are really focused on skills-based hiring. And so I think that's something to keep in mind, that they're looking for a specific skill set. But I think knowing who you are is really important. And this is me putting on my former counselor hat, but also talking to the folks within your school building, navigating those resources available to you, and just being open to opportunities. So thank you so much, Kamani and Johnny. Those are great answers to that question. Let's talk about industry trends. And this is for Harshita and Gabriel. You know what I'm talking about now, right? AI, the big AI. How do you see AI impacting your field in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I can go first. I know AI is the big buzzword And it's also like the new reality we are living in and we will be living with. And especially my field, like data analytics, is the key foundation for AI these days. And AI is moving very fast, and it's also making the surrounding technologies and businesses move very fast with it. Although I would say there are certain industries like healthcare, financial industries, government, that are, taking their own precautions before testing AI at a wider scale, which is great because it's an experimentation phase. But I would say in the next 5 years, definitely, like we will be working with AI. So definitely, I think Kamani said somebody said like, hey, learning how to use ChatGPT, learning how to do prompt engineering, right? So that will become our day-to-day life. I just want to mention that if you want to get into data and analytics, it would be great for people to learn about how AI was built. What are the different data sets the AI was built or trained on, the models were trained on, because there are so many biases in AI, right? And that's why, as a data professional, I would love and encourage folks here on this call to be in data, join data, be in data. We need people from like diverse backgrounds, diverse identities, mindset, to shape our future for AI that can serve anyone and everyone, equitably. So yeah, so AI is not going anywhere. We will be working with AI. That's all
Yeah.
I want to say.
No, excellent points. Thank you so much. Gabriel, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of the points that Harshita brought up. I would say like 5 years ago, this was an interesting question for me as well. I think it was 5 years ago that I actually kind of got set on this path towards kind of this direction. And 5 years ago we were talking about just tagging, just the ability to tag certain types of data in different contexts, especially in a media context, was big, and now we have that. And so within the next 5 years, I can only imagine where we'll be. I do anticipate that we're going to be working alongside AI agents, in that we're going to be seeing kind of this technology be taking on and performing more and more complex tasks. And that can be worrying for some because on one hand, you think it's like, well, if they can perform increasingly complex tasks, it's like, what does that mean for me? And what I'll say is to Harshita's point, the foundational technology that we're building it on is fundamentally complex and even at times insecure. And so it'll be up to a new generation of kind of professionals to be able to debug those complexities that we introduce to our kind of systems. And again, I would also encourage anybody to read up on AI and understand how fundamentally the technology works. Try to develop you don't have to have a huge mathematical background, but understand how they're trained, how to prompt them. I mean, I think that's the other skill that coming from a humanities background, like being good at writing, being able to articulate your thoughts correctly to a system to get the outputs that you're desiring, and understanding how to communicate with those systems, because we're going to be working alongside them. And I think that's going to be a kind of reality within the next 5 years. And I think it's just up to us to learn how to work alongside them, because it isn't going anywhere. And we're kind of at full speed on this kind of trajectory. So, but that's not to say nobody. I don't think anybody should be worried. I think everybody should look at this realistically. Like, none of these technologies themselves are conceptually new. They've been around since like the 70s and 80s. It's just at this point where we can finally kind of execute on them. So we've been anticipating them for quite some time. Again, just learn how to work with them and keep learning and don't lose confidence in the human ability to to keep at it, you know.
Great. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Before we get to our last question, I just want to check. I thought I saw a couple of questions come through in the chat.
Charles, would you mind providing the context for your question that you put in the chat?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, no, my question was about, a lot of folks, work in tech and in companies that are, specific to tech, but I was just wondering if there are other opportunities that, other kinds of companies you can work in tech, but you don't have to necessarily work for a tech company is what I was wondering, if there were opportunities in lots of different fields. Even, I mean, somebody mentioned restaurants. I mean, so, some of those restaurants have, have a need. If they're a big chain or something like that, they have needs for tech, I would think.
Lonnie, do you want to take a stab at that?
Definitely. So I created my own opportunity. So I wanted to open a bookstore, and literally somebody in the business development center told me, oh, don't open, like they were talking to the room. We were talking about business plans, and they were talking about how your business plan is going to be your plan for success, and you shouldn't start a business model like a bookstore because that's a dying business model. Who reads anymore? And I knew different, and I knew that there was a community that existed like myself that loved books, and I was aiming to take more of a technology spin on this industry, and that technology spin concept can be applied to any industry. Any industry can have essentially technology agent that could help boost this industry to a whole nother level that you wouldn't know, like marching band, for example. More applications of technology in that space. You could AI generate different marching sets, I could imagine, and different things like to help propel innovation in other areas of marching band. So it's like, am I answering your question?
No, I think that was no, I think that was great. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, you don't have to go work at Google, or look how they're treating their people anyways. I mean, you could be disposable very quickly. So it's your own understanding of technology and the ways it can be applied. It could be applied anywhere.
There was a few more questions in the chat. Do we want to take a look at those?
Karen, we're gonna move to the next question, and then we'll tackle those with the Q&A session a little bit later.
Perfect. This
Thank
is
you.
for everyone. What do you find most rewarding about the work you do or the organization you work for? You want to start with Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say for us, especially me and Brian, our roles are very customer facing right now. So since we're dealing with clients on a day-to-day basis, who knows how many, you're not always dealing with someone who's happy with technology. Things can go wrong. A lot of the times they aren't very technical themselves. So they just want it to work. They want their problem fixed. And it can be very, very rewarding going from a disgruntled call that isn't going very well. They just want things to work, talking with them, de-escalating it, and fixing their problem. They're like, oh wow, like no way, like I'm already good, like we're good to go. And there's something very, very satisfying about being able to help other people. So that customer facing role is probably a little bit different than like the very technical rewarding aspect, where we are working with tons of different problems all day. There's such a wide variety, and sometimes just working through and actually like figuring out a specific problem and solving it is very rewarding. So
Great, thank you. Harshita?
Yeah, I mean, I would say problem solving is most rewarding for me, and also making an impact on people's lives has been like part of my mission, through my career. So that's the most rewarding. Like we provided virtual healthcare to some of the remote areas in Massachusetts. a couple of years ago. And, you know, lots of folks who were driving to find a doctor for 2 hours could just, you know, ring or just meet their primary physician on a phone call or a video call. So we made that possible, right? So it saved them time, it saved them money. So that brought me a lot of joy. So definitely, you know, helping somebody out, making an impact. I think that's the most rewarding thing in this career. And, you know, and as you're working with data every day, you are problem solving every day. You are sharing insights and recommendations with different businesses like marketing team, customer service, finance team, sales team. You're sharing data with them. You're sharing, hey, this is what's happening in the business. This is what you can do. And, you know, they feel happy, like, oh, we didn't know this was happening. So thank you for sharing. So, you know, it's that communication piece, collaboration piece. That's very rewarding. Yeah.
Thank you. Brian.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you there. I think helping people is definitely number one up there because you have the actual, you know, I know there's jobs out there where, you know, it's just kind of repetitious and you come in, you do your thing, and you may not feel like you're contributing to where that gives you like a purpose almost. And I think that in tech, helping people out is going to give you that purpose and satisfaction of actually feeling like you're doing something that's helpful. And then even aside from that, just because I don't want to say the same thing, like as far as like the problem solving goes, that I know Harshita mentions, like in your own kind of world, to be able to work on something and fix something or learn something, it is incredibly like self-gratifying to be able to do something like that. And as mentioned, it can happen every day, constantly throughout the day, whether it is just learning how to, you know, navigate inside of a server's operating system, or, you know, fixing a little bug on someone's computer or something. Like just learning something like that is incredibly satisfying to now know that you can go ahead and do that in the future if it comes up at, you know, half the speed or quarter of the time it took you that time. So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you. Kamani.
So I have to say, as a business owner and starting my business from the ground up with all of my own dollars and customer facing, you know, engaging with my customers face to face from day one, it's been incredibly rewarding for customers to experience the experience that you so hope that they have by a simple purchase, let alone the book that's going to potentially change their life. So for me, I started off as a small table vending at different events. I've set that up actually all over the country, from Boston to Baltimore to California, all different places. And then in 2020, being found by Afrotech and them blowing my business up to an international business in just 3 years because of the power of technology. That has been so incredibly emotional and rewarding, and it, the the gratifying feeling that you could, you know, only hope to have in your career by building your own company.
Sure.
So yeah.
Thank you. Great. And Gabriel, final thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first and foremost, sometimes I'm that confused and disgruntled person on the end of the line. So shout out to all the Johnnies and Brians out there. You guys keep me sane. But yeah, I think the thing I find rewarding is just the range of problems I get to work on. I would say there's no 2 days that are the same. Even though I might be fundamentally working on the same technology, there might be a new problem or issue that comes up that, and sometimes even though it might feel stressful at the time, there's something kind of exhilarating about doing like a late night bug fix. I'm just, maybe I'm just a masochist, but but yeah, honestly, it's the range of problems I get to work on. Is this a security issue? Is this actually going to work in the way that's intended for the user? And I think especially delivering a solution that's designed for with the user completely in mind, because I think at times as an engineer, you can sometimes get lost in in the sauce of actually building the thing, but not really considering who it's for. Sometimes you might be satisfied. It was like, if it works, it works, but that's not enough. And I think as technologists, we should always aim to do better and always aim to and remember who we're actually serving. We're serving the end user at the end of the day. And I think that's the most rewarding part of my job, is keeping the end user in mind and knowing that somehow in some place, a design decision that maybe I've made can make their lives somewhat easier. So
Fantastic. Thank you all so very much. We are so over time because I really enjoyed our conversation, so I apologize, but this was both enlightening and thought-provoking. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. Thank you for your time. This is it's wonderful. And I know that our student participants are really, really inspired. So I'm going to keep my remarks to that, and just know that there is another Menti poll for our participants, and we'd like you to take a few moments to answer. And again, thank you very much for your participation.
As we transition to our next part of the call, just to give a sense of what's next for those that are listening or watching, we have a Menti poll coming up. We're going to talk about how and where to get started in tech careers. We'll have a Q&A session, and then we'll wrap up by 10:30. So just giving you a sense of what we have coming up. Thank you for those that are responding to our Menti poll. We'll leave it open for a couple more seconds just to get as much feedback as we can. We really do love seeing your perspectives come up on this. And I will check in with Kaylin. Are we spotlighting at this point, or are we waiting for me to take the Menti down?
We are spotlighted and ready.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, with that, I will stop sharing and kick it over to Mark and Isabel.
Well, I want to say thank you to everyone for their feedback on the Menti poll. It kind of seemed that people were trying to figure out, do I need a college degree to get into tech? And then how, where do I get started? But we heard from our great panelists and about the exciting career paths in tech, and heard from you on what you think is the biggest challenges. So let's get into it. How do you get started? Whether you're planning for college, looking for hands-on training, or seeking cost-effective ways to enter tech, there is a path for you. And let's explore those three paths to launch your tech career. I'd like to introduce Miss Isabel Robles from Synchrony, and she'll take on the higher education paths in Fairfield County. Miss Isabel?
Mark. For those of you considering a higher education path, there are a lot of options within Fairfield County that can prepare you for high demand tech jobs. First step, if you're considering a 2-year program, CT State Norwalk offers a variety of associate's degrees that can jumpstart your career in tech. Some specific programs include cybersecurity, software development, data analysis, and programming. These programs are designed to prepare you for entry-level jobs or give you the option to transfer to a 4-year university if you choose to pursue further education. Moving on to some more advanced opportunities, the University of Connecticut, or known as UConn, in Stamford, offers incredible programs for students who are ready for the next step. They have Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science with concentrations in cybersecurity or software engineering, Bachelor's and Master's in Business Analytics, accelerated 5-year master's programs. Not everyone takes the college route, and many companies offer training programs. Oops, I'm so sorry. To prepare you for a career in tech while you work. Here are two companies in Connecticut that invest you. I'm so sorry, my dog. I guess he wants to join the conversation too. I apologize. I am just going to
Isabel, we're fine listening to your dog bark.
Perfect. I'm so sorry. So one of the companies that offers a really great program is Synchrony. It's a year-long program called the Technology Fellowships, and it trains our participants in data analytics. It's a cohort of about 20 to 30 students, and you'll be able to earn a data science certification and other possible certifications as well. Charles IT, which you met two great employees from there on our panel, they offer a boot camp that is 90 days long to develop young IT professionals and help them get their foot in the industry door. They have small cohorts of 8 to 12, and they offer a lot of different certifications. Programs like these allow you to earn while you learn with no need for a college degree. And I'll turn that back over to Mark.
Well, thank you so much. And, we have no problem with the dog barking. It's a good ambiance. So
Thank
I'm
you.
going to talk about our grant-funded tech training, right? So I'm Mark Lazarus. I'm the program manager, information technology for the Workplace for the Tech Ready Career Training Program, where we offer no-cost IT training and certification. And this is more of a short-term trainings. The longest training is about 5 months, and that's for our project management course. But within this program, you can earn stackable certifications. So you can get a certification and badge in Python, generative AI, cybersecurity, data analytics, and cloud. But we want to really go into when we had the speakers talk about generative AI. So when this program for generative AI, you learn about prompt engineering, and then after the course, you get a Visa card to purchase your own license for ChatGPT, Claude AI, Perplexity, and then we're always making the program much better. So we'll be adding AI in healthcare, AI in manufacturing, AI in cybersecurity, and AI in HR to go to what some of our speakers are talking about. The AI is here, right? But then I always like to keep the thinking, keeping your ear to the street to make sure that we have the newest trainings to move forward. So we basically learn how to prompt engineer, but then you go into these different industries and learn about prompt engineering. And not different parts of you do prompt engineering, but you learn about different parts of how AI affects healthcare or these other sectors of work. And we go into this responsible side of AI because of different biases. Most of you all go to the doctor, and in Southwest Connecticut, we have Epic as our largest EMR. That's where they have all your medical records, but it's powered by AI. And some of our healthcare industries have no clue what that means. So that's why we are trying to make sure everyone is educated on that. For our cybersecurity, you can learn about Google Cybersecurity, CompTIA, Security Plus, and we also have the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certificate as part of the Department of Defense. So if you get that certificate, you can work for a place. You can work for Charles IT if you want to. You can work for um, Lockheed Martin or Raytheon. These are, this without that certification, a lot of individuals or companies cannot get defense contracts for the federal government. And for data analytics, we offer SQL. So you'll learn how to know how to create databases and be able to work within the data. And we also do data visualization as well. And in cloud, we have AWS Cloud, not just a practitioner certificate, but we have solutions architect, and we're continuing to build. We also, with this program, we also have micro internships. So what's that is project-based learning, and you do it at the privacy of your own home, and it's 1 to 2 hours of your time. And then one from there, you'll be able to add those things to your resume, because the hardest thing for young people these days is to get an internship, because it's harder to make those partnerships with businesses. So now you'll be able to gain experience. And we have some high school people right now going. So we want to look at the key takeaways. Tech careers are accessible through multiple pathways, either through college, employer training, and certifications. Many companies offer training programs that don't require a degree, and you can earn while you learn. Financial resources exist to reduce the barriers. Grant funding provided for free tech training opportunities. no matter where you start, the most important step to take action. Explore a course and apply for an internship or attend a tech meetup. The future of tech needs you, and your journey starts here today.
Apologies for that delay. I needed to get my screen up. Thank you for that, Mark and Isabel. Really appreciate it. This is our last Menti poll for our session today. We'd love your perspectives. After hearing what you've heard, what are the next steps that you'll take after today to learn more about a career in tech? And we'll give you all a minute to respond, and we will transition next to our Q&A session facilitated by Sebastian Pozaniski. Did I say that right, Sebastian?
Close. It's Paczynski.
So we'll give the Menti poll a minute or two, and I'll let you comment on that, Sebastian, as you move to the Q&A part. We've gotten 5 responses, which has been pretty much what we've gotten all along. So I think we might be at our max of responses. All right, all yours, Sebastian.
All right, awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Sebastian Paczynski, and I'm a software engineer for the IBM Chief Data Office. One thing I want to mention is I hope you guys have been taking notes. All the responses throughout the whole expo has been great. Really, just like through the recording, like later, just like, take some time, look through the responses. I highly recommend it. This is all great advice. So now we're going to be going into the Q&A session. And one of the questions that I'll be asking the panelists first is coming from Stanford High School. So the question is, speaking on being able to prompt AI in a strategic way, can you expand a little on the difference between simply using AI, for example, for homework help and basic questions, versus being able to prompt and utilize AI in a way that it can open doors for you in the workplace? Anyone can take the question.
I can take a stab at it. Great question, by the way. I would say the difference between the two scenarios is that the way to use AI to be productive at a workplace is like AI can give you like a sample code. Let's say if you're in engineering or if you're in data analytics, it can provide you that syntax or the sample code that can help you speed up your work, right? Like you don't have to write the whole code from scratch. So you can take that as an input and then modify it based on your program that you're working on or building or the problem that you are solving and personalize it, right? So that's how AI and prompt engineering in coding is going to help you out in a workplace. And but obviously you need to know like the basics of coding and what does that code really means in order to personalize it. So that's how AI is going to be helpful. It's basically helping you out with like initial 1 or 2 steps.
Right, so like using it as a template at first,
Yeah.
trying to get started, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I can also expand on that as well. I agree with Ashida's point. I think it gets you to where you want to be faster. It will. I don't think at this point it should be used as any replacement for a total answer. It is some know AI can be have the tendency to hallucinate. So there can be even the cases where it might even give you the wrong answer. So I do agree that you need to sort of understand the problem set that you're approaching before you start kind of prompting the AI itself. And I would put it this way: so I think of AI as kind of like an incredibly smart like 5-year-old, like a super genius 5-year-old. Like you, he's gonna get to it really quick, but really you have to define a task really specifically. You're not going to tell like a small kid, like, here, go grab this from like the kitchen. Okay, where is it in the kitchen? Right? Like he's going to find it, but it's going to take a while for him to get there, right? So you want to be able to describe specifically exactly what you want from that sort of output. So I would encourage you to, like, when you explore a problem and use prompting, say like on your homework assignments, take the time to really think through what the question is asking you, and think about it in a way of like, if maybe you're working with like a math equation, or again your programming homework, think through the problem and be able to articulate it in English. I want like this to iterate through this array and output this. Can you write me a code that does that? So understanding those fundamentals behind the problem that you're actually attempting to solve. That way, you also don't kind of rob yourself of the opportunity to learn that as well. Essentially, I think it comes down is what it comes down to is how much effort you want to put into like the actual prompt itself, and not being lazy. I think it's very easy to become sort of lazy when you use AI pretty consistently. Like even myself, having been like even in that context not too long ago, still in school, like when this technology came out, I felt myself becoming a little bit more lazy when it came to like solving problems. So yeah, again, put in the effort to actually like learn the fundamental problem that you're solving, and then use AI to get you there faster, essentially. And I think that'll apply in the workplace as well as in your academics.
Right. Good, great answer. And this actually will segue into Carol's 2 questions. So I'll read them out, and then also I have kind of like a piggyback question from that too. So Carol's first question was, how important are learning the fundamentals of data and AI for a career? And also, what are your recommendations for experimenting with free AI tools, such as Microsoft 365 Copilot, ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, Pixar, Fodor, and more?
Please let me take this.
By all means.
I wanted to say I quickly became frustrated with ChatGPT, having to give it my phone number, having to log in every time. So I moved on to a tool called Bree, Bree AI. It's a like a plugin that you can download from like the Microsoft Store or whatever, or Windows or whatever, on your computer. And so I don't have to even go online. I can just click to open it and start chatting with it for my AI answers. It's a really great, simple tool. And then as far as like the structure and foundation goes, yeah, you have to have, it's artificial intelligence. So your intelligence has to be higher than it for you to know how good of an answer it's spitting out. So I would say I also recommend reading. Reading helps you with language and communication, and that's what you have to do with this tool. So although it's not programming language, it's whatever language. Is all AI in English? I don't even know. That's maybe that's a dumb question, but were you gonna answer that?
Yeah, so I did hear that, like with Apple's AI, they're like rolling it out for different languages. So like they're doing like a slow rollout.
World Health Organization actually released a AI chatbot last week with 7 different languages, international languages, and you can chat with interact with 7 different languages. So it's in the works.
Wow.
Oh, but currently it's like English. Yeah,
Right. Majority.
fascinating.
Lots of work need to be done on the language side.
That's what we talked about with the bias. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I don't even have to say anything else. Like you
Great answer. Great answer. Thank you, Kamani. So the next question, I think, I want to ask you guys, what advice of any kind would you guys give yourselves if you were in the students' shoes again, where they're at right now? You guys, I can give you guys a little bit of time to think. I know it's a loaded question.
I was like, I really want to answer this, please. First off, like again, having a computer is like your access and your map to everything in the world right now. Like I didn't get a laptop until I got to college, and I didn't even know you needed a laptop when you got to college. So being restricted to one space while my fellow peers were able to collaborate and work together quickly made me realize like I was very limited in my ability to problem solve and work on the college campus. I would be looking for free classes all over the internet. I would start exploring different careers in tech. Again, I'm more so building like a mobile app and e-commerce platform. You guys can start businesses yesterday. And I would have started an e-commerce business and literally went on YouTube, how do I start a business? Got the first couple of things and then went and make a Shopify or a WordPress website. Even make a WordPress. Start learning how to customize a website, and because that could be a service that you provide and you charge people for even now. So that's where I would start, and then looking at schools that offer not only like the network of alumni doing things that are really cool, like Yale, their alumni is like absolutely insane, and now they're even Yale like now you don't have to get into Yale to get access to the resources. I won a pitch competition, $10,000 for Key Bookstore through Yale. UConn took some time to catch up with that entrepreneurship ecosystem, but there are incredible opportunities right in your backyard. So that's where I would start, free classes online and things like that.
And to add to that, I'm pretty sure David Noble from UConn. Do you remember David Noble, Kamani?
Wait, no way. Wait. No? Do I? That name sounds
I'm
very
not
familiar.
sure, but he's the one that's leading the charge with like entrepreneurship. He actually has his own podcast. I've seen it in like the UConn newsletters. And I was in the engineering house my sophomore year, so I subscribed to it, and like I just he does something with like Worth Tower.
Okay.
I think he coordinates events.
Oh, I remember
related
meeting him. Yep,
events,
I
yeah.
recently met him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You found it. Thank you, Patricia. Appreciate that. And
I think we have time for one more question.
one more.
Yeah.
Okay. And speaking about like resources, we've been talking about resources throughout like the whole expo. There could be some like anxiety with just the amount of resources there are out there, right? Like the great thing about having computers, the great thing about having the internet is that there's just you can learn anything, right? But like there could be too much. It could be information overload. So like what sort of advice would you give the students in like being able to like parse through like I guess what I'm trying to ask is like which courses do you recommend if it's like AI? Do you have any off the top of your head or just any general advice?
I can just give general advice, starting with like, don't be afraid to start somewhere, right? Because we have been in like our careers for what, 15, 16 years, and we are still learning about ourselves. We are still evolving and getting to know ourselves. So it will always change. So my just simple advice is just start somewhere, something simple, see where it goes. If you don't like it, switch, pivot, learn something new, right?
Yeah, I would agree. So I would suggest start with a problem that you kind of like identify with yourself potentially. Like, so maybe in the context, if say you wanted to go into software engineering, I would start with like a problem space or even like an area of interest that is interesting to you. So if you're into music, look up maybe like music programming, or maybe how can I build like a virtual software instrument or something like that, or and go from there, and then see where that takes you. And if it feels too hard, again, like Rashida mentioned, you can recalibrate. You can take on something maybe that's like lighter, or you can start breaking down that problem into smaller steps. So maybe I'll build out this module this week, and then maybe I'll learn about how this technology to build this part of this tool the next week. And then you kind of can start building that scaffolding like little by little as you start figuring out where your capabilities are and where you want to get. I think as long as you have that kind of like that's sort of like north star to follow, you'll be able to like recurse back and then build everything in between there. It's just a matter of knowing kind of where you are relative to that point. And then, yeah, just basically start hacking is what I can, is the best thing I can recommend. Just get into it and don't be afraid of, like, your own capabilities. Like, don't be afraid of the problems that you might face. It's just, you'll get there. I promise. It might be frustrating at first, but you'll get there.
Yeah, just little steps. Just like how you said, little steps. All right, great answers. Thank you. But we're gonna have to close this off. I mean, great session today. Honestly, like you have a lot of passionate professionals on this call, and really, like, everyone give them a round of applause. Like, seriously, like that wonderful time. What wonderful advice. Thank you. We covered a lot, from the very exciting career paths in tech to the different ways you can get started. If there's one thing I hope you could take away from today, it's this, is that tech is for everyone. Whether you want to code, analyze data, secure networks, or start your own business, there's a path for you. We heard from professionals working in cybersecurity, software engineering, data analytics, and more. We learned that you don't need a 4-year degree to get started. There are apprenticeships, employer-led training programs, and even free resources to help you break into the industry. So the next step for you is that maybe you'll research a career that sparked your interest today. Sign up for a free online course or reach out to a mentor. Small steps can lead to big opportunities. The tech industry is always evolving, and there's no better time to start than right now. And to help you on your journey, and I hope there's yes, thank you. There are QR codes on the screen for great resources for you from Microsoft. They'll give you access to MS Azure, GitHub, and other student opportunities that include a Microsoft internship, mentorship, and becoming a student ambassador. And before we wrap up, I want to say, again, huge thank you to our incredible panelists for sharing their insights and experiences, to our organizers for making this event possible, and to all of you, students, for being here today. Your curiosity and enthusiasm is exactly what the tech industry needs. Remember, this is step 1. You guys will get there. And I'll leave you with this. The future of tech is in your hands. No matter your background or interests, there's a place for you in tech. You have the power to shape the next innovation, create solutions that change lives, and build a career that excites you. The question is, what will you do next? Thank you, and we hope to see you again at future tech events.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.